Chennai Medico Friend Circle's conversations and copy session we had with Cheenu, which was I think 3 months or so ago. February or March it was. When Cheenu actually presented in detail his life journey in the work that he has done as part of All India Drug Action Network and Medico Friend Circle, PUCL and children's education. At that time, there was a lot of interest in some of the work he had done specifically on essential medicines, on fixed drug combinations, on drug pricing, on patents that he had mentioned. And many students and those who had attended that session had actually said it would be nice if we had a little more in-depth discussions around those very specific issues. So what we thought was taking advantage of the fact that Cheenu comes to Chennai once in a while. We have requested him to have now sort of workshop type sessions, input sessions, technical sessions, mainly aimed at medicos broadly but open to everyone obviously, but focusing on some of the issues that came up during that time. So issues on drugs, on medicines, but what we found was that these are topics that are so essential to actually understanding the politics behind what is happening, but it's something that's never covered in Pharma. So that's why we have titled the talk also The Landscape of Medicines, What You Don't Learn in Pharmacology. It's not going to be technical in terms of molecules and that sort of thing. It's going to be technical in terms of trying to understand what happens to a medicine once it's conceived and patented and maybe even little before that. So I won't go into the detail. I leave that to Cheenu to do. This time we are also very happy to have CAG as our partner. CAG has done decades of work, and I will maybe Om can say a couple of words or maybe sometime doing. So anyway, so very happy and thankful to CAG to partner with us here, to partner with Chennai MFC and sort of help arrange this sort of session. And yeah, so then we can just start with Cheenu. And for those who haven't attended the meeting at the conversational copy, a very brief intro to Cheenu, I think would be in order. Cheenu Srinivasan is a graduate of both IIM and IIT. I think in the reverse order, IIT and then IIM. But unlike most, I think, people who've gone that path, he decided to, I think, put his skill and mind and effort and career into something quite unique in terms of actually getting medicines, producing medicines and making sure that it reaches the people who actually need them. And he looked at it from the perspective of actually generic medicines. He and a few of his friends got together to form LOCOST, which is a drug manufacturing company, generic drug manufacturing company. And through the work of LOCOST, he's actually established that good pharmaceutical products can actually be made, pharmaceutical companies can actually be run without all the marketing and the paraphernalia that today is seen to be essential to pharmaceuticals. And actually Cheenu and LOCOST has shown that that is absolutely not essential, and that you can produce very high quality drugs for a fraction of the cost and yet be a viable institution running it. Apart from that, Cheenu and LOCOST have done a lot of work in terms of actually getting into PILs, whether it is about essential drugs in the early days, on fixed drug combinations, on drug pricing, and so all that he will be talking, I think, comes with that from that background.
Good afternoon, good evening. And my name is Cheenu, as you said, very generously introduced me. And you can ask me questions anytime, and you can sort of say I'm a stupid, there's a stupid wrong, logic, wrong, mistake, anything you can tell me. But you have to give me some logic. And it's not that I'm right all the time. I only have got some advantage in years, maybe 3 times your age, but that doesn't mean I have more wisdom. Okay, so I will start this. This is what we are going to talk about, and DPCO stands for Drug Price Control Order. I don't think you need to take notes. This is not class. I think all of you will get, I think, this, yeah. In fact, there are more PowerPoints also which we are not going to talk about, but that I think you should read that also if you get time. Next. So I am affiliated to, apart from Medico Friend Circle, All India Drug Action Network and LOCOST. We talked about LOCOST, the manufacturing organization, and much of this topic on this presentation draws upon this petition in the Supreme Court since 2003. You'll wonder, like you have heard of some cases are settled after 100 years of the fellow is dead and so on and so forth. Well, I'm not yet dead, but since 2003 this has been going on, and in that process I think we have learned a lot. And basically it started with opposing a government pharmaceutical policy in 2002, and like India is one of the few countries you can talk about still opposing the government through something like even through marching outside and having a placard, except when section 144 is there. But we have some wonderful instrument called public interest litigation, PIL, and it was the idea of one justice called Justice Bhagwati. Have you heard of him? You must have heard of this economist Bhagwati, his brother, his elder brother, and he's got another brother who is some very well-known doctor in Ahmedabad. So Justice Bhagwati was the Chief Justice about 20 years back, or maybe 25 years back in the Supreme Court. Somewhere along, he realized that, if you go to the Supreme Court, there are all these big lawyers, including some from Chennai, one gentleman called Chidambaram. He's there, he's supporting the pharma companies, and he's against us. And all these big lawyers who charge something like 5-6 lakhs to just get up in the court, say, my lordship, this matter has to be adjourned today. For that, he'll charge you 5 lakhs. And the fellow who charges most for one appearance is, other name you must have heard, called Harish Salve, TV, he'll be there. It's 25 lakhs per appearance. Okay. So, it occurred to Bhagwati, what is this? How can a poor man afford this in this country, ordinary citizens? So he made a rule that even if a postcard comes addressed to the Chief Justice or the Supreme Court of India, in any language in India, including languages which are not described as scheduled languages, and comes to the Supreme Court, from the remotest corner, from the poorest person, that will be considered as a petition to the Supreme Court, and it will be taken as what is called suo motu, means on their own. So that is what is called public interest litigation. That is the genesis of PIL, and it's a wonderful thing. There is no such thing anywhere in the world. I mean, we may criticize our country, we may criticize our Supreme Court, everything has faults, everything has blemishes. But this is wonderful. We should celebrate this. And of course, people who are getting targeted in this PIL are trying to shut this up, close it up. But that is something we have to fight. Next. So, what are the issues with DPCO, Drug Price Control Order 2013? Now, first of all, what is a DPCO? DPCO is an instrument to control, regulate, put a price control, put a cap on medicine prices. And when I say medicine, we are talking only of allopathic medicine, modern medicine. So, which means if there is a price ceiling price or cap is say 100 rupees for 10 tablets of say paracetamol. Yeah, paracetamol is 10 rupees now actually. So 10 rupees. You cannot sell more than 10 rupees. Nobody can. If you sell it, it's a violation of DPCO, and then there is appropriate procedures, punishment, etc., etc. So that is before that the Crocin was selling before this DPCO in 2012 at 20 rupees, 16 rupees. Okay. Now actual cost of making paracetamol 500 mg is about 3 rupees. You are selling at 10 rupees. Previously it was selling at 15 rupees. You have heard of some drug called atorvastatin? Huh? What is it used for? Cholesterol. Okay. Amlodipine? Okay. So, you know your pharmacology. And therefore, so atorvastatin, it was selling at 100 rupees. Atorva, this is a leading brand name, no? Atorva and something else, Stovaz. These two had about 80% of the market in this country of atorvastatin, 10 mg. And they're selling at 101, 110 rupees, 120 rupees per 10 tablets. We are making it at 3 rupees for 10 tablets. We are a small company. So a big company has bigger what is called economies of scale, and they'll make it even cheaper, 3 rupees. So after DPCO came, the ceiling price was fixed from 101, it came to 60 rupees or 59, 58, something like that. So nobody can sell today in India more than 58 rupees per 10 tablets atorvastatin 10 mg. And I'm selling at 9 rupees. I mean 3 rupees is what our cost of production, 6 rupees I'm making a profit. Even that you may call it too much, but there are a lot of items we make a loss. That's a different story. So we cross subsidize. Next, wait a minute, don't go. So, okay, what are the DPCO, the ceiling price? You know, you must be asking a question naturally. How is ceiling price fixed? Isn't it? That's a natural question. So that is fixed by something called the simple average formula, which I'll talk about. I'll explain to you. So there are problems with the simple average formula. Obviously, because atorvastatin was selling at 101 rupees, it came down only to 60 rupees, whereas I am making it 3 rupees, and everybody must be making it 3 or 4 rupees. So still, it can sell at 60 rupees. So 60 divided by 3 is how much? In percentage terms. 2000%, 20 into 100, 20 times. Now, so if all the costs of production is recovered at 3 rupees, so 57 rupees is all for marketing costs, profit, etc., etc. Now, you will have to scratch your head hard. Which industry, which sector makes this kind of 2000% margin? Computers? No, I don't think so. Hey, maybe except real estate in some posh colonies. Nobody else makes it. So that tells you there's something wrong with this ceiling price mechanism. I'll tell you what is wrong with it, or you can tell me also. And then it also, ceiling price is today price control, DPCO 213. It was an improvement with the previous DPCO 1995. Today DPCO 213 is applicable to all the medicines listed in the National List of Essential Medicines. And you know the concept of essential medicines, National List of Essential, why is it made, etc. Yes, no, you have to tell me yes, otherwise I can't hear it. Yeah, okay, I have to hear from that side also. Don't take up the darkness and go to sleep. Well, go to sleep, it's all right. But you have to tell me this. So 376 medicines, one is not enough, because it actually omits a lot of useful medicines. For asthma, it has got only salbutamol. What other medicines you use? Budesonide, and then? And? Yeah. All is Montelukast, which is very useful. It's not there in this National List of Essential Medicines. If atorvastatin is there, and only atorvastatin 10 mg is there. So the price control is only on atorvastatin 10 mg, not on 20 mg, not on 80 mg, 40 mg. And then it's also other statins are not there. Other statins are not there. So rosuvastatin sells as much. Simvastatin, all other statins are not there. Similarly, if enalapril is there, enalapril I think 5 mg and 10 mg is there, but lisinopril is not there, ramipril is not there, which ramipril sells as much. And in fact, some people say ramipril is better, more advantageous, etc. So that is one problem with DPCO 213. But still, it is a big improvement because the previous DPCO had only 77 medicines and half of it were useless medicines nobody used, like bicampicillin. Have you heard of bicampicillin? No, I mean, you would not have heard, nobody uses. Okay, so and also all fixed dose combinations involving essential medicines are out of price control. All fixed dose combinations are out of price control except those fixed dose combinations which are mentioned in the national list of essential medicines. Any idea how many FDCs are there in NLEM 2015? About 20 to 23 are there, like cotrimazole, aluminum hydroxide plus magnesium trisilicate, ferrous sulfate plus folic acid, ORS, I think amoxicillin plus clavulanic acid, I think it is there, and things like this. So about 23, and many of the AIDS medicines are FDCs. So apart from that, all other FDCs are out of price control. So totally, do you know how much percentage of the Indian market can I say, sir? I'll tell you, give you a hint. In 1970, when I first joined IIT, it was 300 crores. Now it is what, 48 years afterwards. How much is this? Just take a guess. You're quite near, smart. It is today 1.2 trillion rupees. That is 1,20,000 crores. 1 followed by 12 zeros. And that is only the domestic sale. Exports are another 1.2 or 1.3 trillion rupees. So that is, we have made progress. Certainly it's progress by any stretch of imagination. Like, the only other thing I can think of is that which has made such progress from 1960s is milk. Today milk is abundant. And things like that. There are things, if your telephones, all this. But outshining all of them is pharma industry, among other 2-3 major industries. So, out of 1.2 trillion rupees, how much do you think is the drugs under price control, essential drugs, 376 drugs? 376 drugs only in the presentation mentioned in the national list of essential medicine. If 10 mg is mentioned, only 10 mg, not 20 mg. And if it is tablet is mentioned, only tablet, not injection, not capsule also. So, how much is this? Again, take a guess. So, would you really say it's a great achievement? Well, it is some sort of achievement because they were not willing to do this also. Because we had this case, this is probably one of the things we were hammering in the court, and the Supreme Court gave an ultimatum because the government was not doing anything. In fact, the judge said, unfortunately, his judge muddled his reputation for this section 377 because he said he won't let it go. Justice Singhvi. But for us, he was very supportive. He said, if you don't come out with a policy by next month deadline, I will dictate the pharma policy with the help of these petitions. So government hobbled up and said this. So 10% is still achievement, but it is not enough because, which means 90% is without price control. And also, I'll be showing that out of the 1,20,000 crores, 60,000 crores is single ingredient. And the rest of the 60,000 crores is mostly useless drugs. That will come to it. So, first of all, we are only 10,000 crores is probably useful medicines, people are getting useful medicines, and maybe another 40,000 single ingredient, probably they are also useful, but it depends upon whether you're prescribing the right way or not way, but let us assume it is being prescribed. But about half the market is of useless medicines, which we'll talk about. So then number 4, exclusion of patented drugs from price control order. By design, this DPCO did not have anything to say about how you will control patented medicines. Patented means nobody else can make it. These are considered frontline medicines, biologicals and so on. So, and they're very costly. One shot may cost you 25,000 rupees. So it is. So they have. We're not discussing patents today. We'll discuss next time. So they are excluded. And how to put a cap on price control of patented medicines is a big problem. What formula will adopt, etc. But that we'll talk about it. So next. So these are the key issues of medicines in this country. You can read them. Since you're doctors, can I skip them? Yes or no? You agree with them or you don't agree with them? You can read them. See, one is to make medicines, which we have sorted out compared to 1970. There's a good capacity, technical capacity, technological capacity. Pricing decides accessibility, affordability and availability. Affordability is price. Accessibility is that when I, as a person, am sick, I should need the right medicine in the right time. And available, it should be available. No point, India is a big country with 7 lakh villages. It should be available in every village, which it is not. It won't be available even in, you go 20 kilometers outside Chennai. So that's a problem. And I told you proliferation of irrational drugs and FDCs. Our patent policy is very good. It's considered the best. We'll talk about it why. But America and Trump kind of people want it diluted. And I'll not talk about compulsory license again, which do with patents. Unethical promotion of medicines. I'm sure already as a medical college students, pharma companies have approached you. Yes? What do they do? Approach? Huh?
They give gifts.
Gifts. What kind of gift?
The sample medicines.
And pen and what else?
Like for some people, they offer tools.
What?
They offer tools.
Tools. What?
Travel.
Tours. Even at this, when you're a student.
No, I mean, not tours, to professors.
Professors. Where did they go?
I mean, I don't ask them about that.
No, but you should know. He must have said, oh, Sweden is very nice. Did he say anything like that?
No, not like that. In our colleges, they give gifts and sample medicine.
Okay. This is how, like, if a tiger tastes blood and human blood, it's very difficult to sort of get off this thing. So, I hope next time they offer you pen, you say, thank you, I can afford the pen. My father and I, we are not very rich, but we can afford pens. So they'll say, no, then we'll take you for tour. You can say, I don't need to go, I'll pay. When I grow up, I'll probably end up making more money, then I'll go on more. That is what you should be saying, and I hope you do. And since you have come to this talk, probably you'll all do that. Okay, and unscientific prescriptions, over prescriptions. When you need 3 medicines, one medicine. When you need 1 medicine, you get 10 medicines. I've seen, like from big institutions, people are giving for some smallest thing, the common cold, they'll give you 10 medicines. 10 medicines. Means you will have to buy only from that particular shop. So, and unnecessary X-rays, CAT scans, it has got nothing to do with medicines, but it's part of medical treatment. And medicines are not available in the government health system, which is used by majority of people, and the government health system normally does not work. I'm not talking of Tamil Nadu, but most other states in this country. Tamil Nadu is considered probably in better than Kerala, because Kerala doesn't have, generally Kerala is considered smaller population, and it is we call it education, 100% education for a long time. But here we have poverty, of extreme poverty, also extreme wealth. There's big range, and there are pockets of extreme poverty. So I think it's considered, it has a lot of problems. I'm sure it has, and I'm sure you would know about it. I'm sure Rakhal would tell you a lot more about it. But the public health system is much better than most other states in India, and also medicines are available. You know that, no? Tamil Nadu Medical Services Corporation. It's considered one of the model in public service, this thing, supply chain management and so on. In one of the readings, I reviewed the book of Mr. Purnalingam, Change. He's called it Change. He was the Secretary Health when Tamil Nadu Medical Services Corporation was set up in 1995, and he says how they brought it out, etc. Before that, if you wanted to supply medicines as a manufacturer in Tamil Nadu government, you would take a suitcase full of rupees and cash and go to the minister, go to the health secretary and say, Sari, I'm giving an order. This was a big scandal in 1993, 94. There was all of the papers. There's raids on this minister, raids on this income tax, raids on the health secretary and so on and so forth. So afterwards they tried to clean up. Same thing with the cadaver transplant here. It was all kinds of ruckus, all nonsense was going on. I think still Tamil Nadu's cadaver transplant is considered probably the best in this country. Yeah? So anyway, so you got a lot of things, you're probably, a lot of things you're proud of. So clinical trials and rights, compensation, ethics issues, that also we're not going to talk about, that's a very big topic. Next. So I told you India's pharma industry is 1.222, etc. Out of which, I said about 12,000 or 11% is under price control, exports are under 1.2 lakh crores, unbranded generics. You know what is generics? Yes? No, tell me a definition. If I'm a lay person, what do you call a generic? If you take Crocin, it's a branded medicine, brand of paracetamol. But if the label it says paracetamol only, it's generic. That is in our colloquial usage. But generic normally means now a drug which is out of patent, which does not have patent. Paracetamol does not have patent in this country, which means anybody can make it. So we say Crocin is a branded generic, a drug which has got a brand which is out of patent. And unbranded generic is what we call normally generic in normal conversation. So generics are about, unbranded generics are 10,000 crores. 90% of Indian drugs is out of patent. It's third in terms of global sales and terms of volume, all this. So India is called the pharmacy of the third world or developing world, etc., etc. If you had told this in 1970, people would have laughed. Even people like me would have laughed. India. Like you say, India has got this software thing. If it said even 75, people would have said, which world are you living? You know what happened? Same thing happened in Japan, in the 1950s. So some of these Japanese people said, we'll make cars. Two small yellow people with flat noses, you can make cars? Ha ha ha, biggest joke. The joke is on the Americans now. So that way we had, so we make also the active pharmaceutical ingredients, APIs. APIs means the bulk drug with the powder which goes into the medicine. That is, we also, in fact, we used to make 80 to 90% of all the requirements, but now China has overtaken, we are dependent on China. But we want to retrieve that situation. And outside USA, India has the highest number of US FDA approved plants, which is a big thing because US FDA tries to put up more and more barriers, US and other trade lobbies, because they don't want medicines from India to come into the US market. They can't do it legitimately legally, so they put more and more barriers. These are called trade barriers, regulatory barriers, etc. So we still have a lot of our guys, again this is something even I would not have dreamt of, but if you go to many of these plants, because of US FDA approved plants, it will be cleaner than this floor. I mean, people say, you can eat from the floor, it's so bloody clean. But it has also increased the cost of medicines which come out of US FDA, this thing, but it's going for the export market, not for us. But it has got a kind of an effect that quality is generally improved in India. In 80s, 90s, even early 2000s, there used to be a lot of quality problems. By and large, we don't have the kind of, unless there are some crooks making it in deliberately poor quality, etc., to make money, etc. Okay, next. IPM means Indian pharma market. Don't ignore this thing. This basically gives you top 10. Top 10 is this thing. Top 10 pharma companies got 42% of the market. Okay, and then 11 to 25, they've got, I think, what is this? 28%. So top 25 have something like 70% of the market. So that is, it's so skewed. And this is the situation June 17, this is the situation June 18. And yeah, this is the, I told you this is the total value as of June 18 for the last 12 months. 1.2 trillion rupees. It's all in crores, it's all in crores. And out of which, top 10, same thing, top 10 is 52,000, etc., etc. Next. Again, ignore this. In 1970, again, when I was 17 or 18, and 63 to 70% of the Indian market was MNCs, Glaxo and Pfizer and all these fellows. So, oh, this Glaxo, very nice, Glaxo, everybody thinks Glaxo. But today, it's the other way around. 80% of the market is Indian market, Indian hands. I mean, at least now with mergers, etc., it's very difficult to see which is Indian, etc., but essentially Indians. I've talked about all these things. Okay, in medicines, because it's market failure, price variations go from 2 to 40 times. This is another thing. In a market which is, where the market works, competition works, what happens is, several people are making the same product, 80% of the market will buy the cheapest variety, and 20% will buy costly varieties because they want to be seen with status symbol. You won't, it's true, isn't it? If it's of watches or jewelry, etc. Watches, you will buy some, most of you will buy some 800, 500 rupees market. In our time, it was 60 rupees, 500, which Titan will sell. But Titan will not even have it, you have to go to some other place. But Titan will have a watch for 1.25 lakhs. Same damn time you have to see. But it looks nice, people say, 1.25 lakhs. Everybody knows the price. So, but that is only about 20, but 10%, even 5% will buy. So that is the normal behavior of markets. In medicines, it's the other way around. 80% of the people are buying the Titan variety, 1.25 lakh. And 20% of the market are buying my medicines. Because it's because the doctor is convinced, the pharma company is convinced. The costlier the medicine, the better quality it is. You don't want to take a chance. Oh, it's my mother, I don't want to take a chance. It's my father. What will people say? What kind of a son you are? You can't even buy a costly medicine for your father. This is a kind of dialogue. And you all are pressurized by this dialogue. So, people think the costlier version, I've talked about all this. Yes, next. Yes, I've talked about this also. Next. So, what is the major consequence of leaving medicine prices to the market? It produces a lot of distortions. Now, what kind of distortions? Next. Medicine purchases do not reflect disease profile. Okay, is it true? Okay. Because like there are some few medicines, vitamins for instance, vitamin say B complex. If you see the amount of B complex consumed, you will think a lot of people, and consumed by the kind of people who are consuming it, you will think a lot of rich people, well-to-do people are vitamin deficient in this country. It's not true. It's not true. So And overpricing of medicines, which I told, because more costly medicines sell more. Same medicine sells at different prices, often by the same company in different brands. I'll show you an example. Marketing tactics of pharma persuade doctors. It starts with ballpoint pen. And marketing, then aggressive marketing of Me Too drugs, because how many 100 people are making paracetamol, and it's 95% chance they are as good as Crocin. So how do you distinguish? You have to do some other kind of trick, persuade, marketing tactics, gifts, or I convert them into fixed dose combination and say it's a wonderful drug, etc. Average prescriber tends to favor more aggressively marketed costlier brands even when equally effective, safe and cheaper alternatives are available. I have told you this. Okay, next. 2 minutes. Now this is the generic, this is kind of branded medicine. Everything is branded, and this, you don't see this. What happens is, this is cetirizine before price control. It was selling at 39 rupees, now it is 15 rupees, but the example is still valid. In this is what is called, funnily, it's called in the pharma trade jargon, this is the ethical market. Ethical market means you do typical sale of the drug, which is a leading brand, with medical representatives taking the thing and, sir, doctor, this is a new product, sir. So they'll sell. So the trade, the first fellow in the trade gets at 23 rupees. Okay? And the margin is 16 rupees. So that 16 rupees is divided between the wholesaler and the retailer in a certain percentage. But, so the first point of the trade gets 23 rupees, the last consumer gets it at 39. The margin is small, but the turnover is very high in this. So in this, it's all cetirizine made by the same company, Cipla, great company. It's sold to the first fellow in the trade at 2 rupees. Because the cost of production is 150, I am making at 120 per 10, but MRP will be 27. So here the margin for the trade is 25 rupees. So this will probably go in the urban markets, this will grow in some poor rural market, some fellow will be doing this, will be selling this. So this is how it is. Next.
Yeah. So by this, do you mean that the same drug company makes 2 different products for 2 different markets?
3, in this case 3. Cipla is not to be laughed at, it's a very reputed company. Even I will say it's a reputed company. And by and large it is a good company. They are not bosses.
How do they justify that they are making the same?
There is a law. What's stopping? It's not illegal. So after price control, this behavior still continues. Only thing is the MRP has now become 20. Now it says at 15, 18 rupees. MRP is, because that is the selling price. But still, if I am making it 1 rupee 50 paise per 10, and the selling price today is 18 rupees, divide 18 by 1 rupee 50 paise. Now 2 by 3, 600%. How many times is it? 18 divided by 1.5. 12 times. So 1200%. No industry can make 1200% margin. Okay. Next, what is the numbers? No, what is the slide number? I have about 30 slides. Next. Make it bigger. And it's a question. A beclomethasone inhaler, very costly, 300 rupees. It's a plus at 374. Whereas Rajasthan Medical Services Corporation, the same company gets 66 rupees. Gives it 66 rupees. So now I would think why should it be 374? What about the okay? If you're selling it to Rajasthan Medical Services or TLMC at 66 rupees, why don't you take 100 rupees? At 374, and we are the world's largest asthma largest or fifth largest or whatever. Yes, we are largest in anything, everything else. So next. I think I told you DPCO before this. This is it includes a lot of excludes a lot of useful drugs which I talked about, Montelukast, that even diabetes only two drugs are there. I think Limiparide and metformin. Apart from insulin. So pioglitazone is not there. Gliptins are not there. This is only every fifth person has asked for. And diabetes. So I think fifth or 20th, I don't remember. 7% of population is diabetes, something like that. So okay, next. So I'll stop here. After this the break, you would like to know. Would you like to know how the ceiling prices arrived? Okay, then now tell me how is ceiling price will fix?
Based on the production cost and
Let's call it cost price. Don't call it production cost. Cost price means cost of raw material plus production cost. Okay, that is cost price at the factory. Okay, factory gate. Okay, plus
even you can take into account the transportation cost required for transporting the
plus the marketing cost. Not for giving ballpoint pens, but just to go and inform people, advertisement, plus trade margin. Plus, you may say I'm doing R&D, some R&D some profit you want to make. You want so much return on this that you put your own profit also, manufacturer's profit. Plus anything else? Nothing else. Yeah. So that is called. What you understood her, what she is saying? Can you repeat it? Loudly. You are a teacher, come on. You are assistant professor. Now I know audit lay persons.
So the ceiling price would be
Not for me, to everybody. Get up and say. The only time I can dictate an assistant professor.
right now. The raw material cost, the production cost, the transport cost, and cost incurred for marketing, cost incurred for R&D, and trade margin plus a bit of profit. So yeah,
That will be.
that should be the selling.
That should be the selling.
Yeah.
And DPCO 1995, the one which was before this, DPCO 2013, followed that formula. What you're just saying, it's a commonsensical formula, which is cost of inputs plus manufacturing cost plus maybe packing cost if you want. That is a price at the factory gate plus my own profit. I can put that can be the price at the factory gate. So when I sell it from the factory gate, I already recovered my profit. Then maybe some marketing costs. If you want to give some even information, not ballpoint pens or not holidays in Singapore or somewhere, but and trade margin. How much is trade margin? That has also been a lot of discussed. But for all the top selling brands in this country, trade margin is about 10% from the wholesaler, wholesaler distributor, and then about 16% to the retailer. Means if retailer buys, I buy this thing at 100 rupees from the trade. Trade has got 10%, so it will be about 80. They are bought it at 90 rupees from the manufacturer. So 90 becomes price the manufacturer sells to the trade, wholesaler and all the chain, and by the time it reaches the retailer, it is 100 rupees. Okay, and the MRP will be put as 16% I can make. That is the thing for the Crocin and Combiflam and Brufen and all this. That is the thing. Over and above that, they have schemes, etc., free schemes and the schemes. That they also is a kind of giving you commission, extra commission. But this is what most people do. But if it is not a popular brand, you will, as we saw, the same famous top selling brand of Cetirizine was sold at a higher price to the trade, and the margin for the trade was small, but it was fast moving, large number of quantities of say Crocin. You know what is there are some people called C&F agents, carry and forward agents in each state. For a product like Crocin, say Tamil Nadu, there will be 1 or 2 C&F agents for the entire state. What is his margin, do you know? from say Glaxo. Glaxo is making kerosene, isn't it? 0.5%. 0.5%. Now, why are they not complaining? Because I am taking from the right hand and giving it to you on the left hand, and over 0.5%. And crores of tablets. I make a lot of money. So I got a high turnover. So this is what happens. But for the not so, especially with drugs out of price control, and the kerosene, what I said about cetirizine, is sold to the trade at 2 rupees, but still the high price is maintained, the MRP is maintained. So the trade gets a lot more margin. And in that product, I don't put my company's marketing forces. In the first product, where the margin is small, I put my medical representatives. I pay for the medical representative. In the other one, the trade does the marketing, or whatever they do. Huh? Remember, that is the difference. And if it is the same company, like Cipla, guaranteed it will not make an inferior quality product which is selling at 2 rupees. They will make the same quality. Okay? Alright. So this, what she described, exactly this. Retail price is equal to MC, material cost plus conversion cost plus packing material cost. That will be this part will be till the cost price for the cost price of the product. So this will be material cost, means paracetamol powder, it will be powder, no? You buy at 300 rupees per kilo, plus it will be something called excipients, binders, we put that is material cost. Conversion cost will be electricity, machine use panno, labor, etc. And packing material, I understand packing material. If it is blister or if it is bulk pack, different costs. That will be the ex factory cost. To that, you'll add 100% was given. Maximum allowed post manufacturing cost, MAP, it's called. I forget the maximum allowable post manufacturing expenses, and that was 100%. So if my cost price this much was 100 rupees, the ceiling price will be another 100 rupees more, 200 rupees plus the taxes. That is how it is. This is common sense. This is what the government does to fix auto rickshaw prices, and they do, no? They want a revision. This is what they do. Petrol cost, in the case, how much it takes per kilometer, etc., plus maybe say 100% profit, or 50%, whatever. Now, instead of doing this sensible thing, this is called the cost plus mechanism, and this is what we are demanding in the court also. Go to the next. Ceiling price is divided. Now they said this is again our great Chidambaram's idea. He was finance minister. So what he said, if there is paracetamol, there will be 100 brands, or 100 at least minimum, different companies making it. So let us find out who all got at least 1% of the market. Say the market is for paracetamol is 1,000 crores. 1% of 1,000 crores will be how much? 10 crores. Is it 10 crores? Yeah, 10 crores. So who all got minimum 10 crores market? So then I will take the selling price of all these fellows with minimum 1% market. So there are 10 fellows having minimum say 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 100. And then selling at 10 rupees, 20 rupees, 30 rupees, 40, 100 rupees. And then I take the average 10 plus 20 plus 30 plus 100, divide by how many people? 10. How much will it be? Quickly. If you knew 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus n is equal to n into n plus 1 by 2, you know it's 55. 55 rupees. So 55 is the selling price, he says. Now the damn thing is paracetamol cost me only 1 rupee to make. But I am taking the average of high selling prices in the market. So 1 rupee, where I should have at the most, okay, 100%, 200% profit, should be selling at 3 rupees. I have given the MRP of selling price of 55. And so I am justifying an already overheated market with high prices. So that is why we say the simple average price does not reflect real input costs. What would have been, what we discussed, Madam told about this previous thing in 1995. It is a kind of, if you take average of already high numbers, you'll get a high number average also. Yeah. So that is why we say the simple average. So we get the simple average, then you add 16% retailer's commission. So 100 rupees was the simple average. 116 is the ceiling, beyond which you can't sell anything in this country. So this is how all the ceiling prices of these 376 products were fixed. And but our fellow company, these pharma companies are complaining, oh, we are making a loss. Where are you making a loss? Only 10% of the market is under price control. We saw that. Okay, next. I've already told you what is excluded from the price control. I mean, other drugs which like Montelukast, only glimepiride and only salbutamol is there, but not on Montelukast and so on. Among anti-diabetics, only glimepiride and metformin is there, and insulin is there. Even insulin, certain varieties of insulin are not there. Other useful drugs, pioglitazone, gliptins, etc. are not there. So those are out of price control. Even that one particular strength only and one particular presentation is only that is whatever is given in the NLEM, only that is under price control. So we are saying any other strengths, dosage forms and presentations of the 348 to 376 are not mentioned in NLEM 2015. For example, paracetamol 500 is on price control. Now we got paracetamol 1000 mg. It's not 600, 650 mg. Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. Cochrane, heard of Cochrane? They have got a report which says the ideal dose for paracetamol beyond which if you give it will cause liver problems is 325 mg. And even our own government DCGI got out a circular about 8 or 10 years back. Henceforth, if you are renewing the license for paracetamol every 5 years, don't renew any presentation, any tablet beyond 325 mg. The order is there, but nobody is following it. We got 1000 mg. Why 1000 mg? Because it is outside price control. Only 500 mg is under price control. Even 501 mg you make, it will be out of price control. So we said this is stupid. And if we said it in the Supreme Court, this fooling is a very price control because politically, we have done price control. Modi will say, we have done price control, but 10%. So we are saying all strengths. So what should we demand? All strengths, dosage forms, and presentations of the drug in the National List of Essential Medicine should be in price control. That's number one demand. All chemical analogues, I said only atorvastatin is there, but not simvastatin, rosuvastatin is not there. Enalapril is there, but ramipril is there now, but lisinopril will not be there. So pioglitazone will be there, but rosglitazone, anyway rosglitazone is not safe. So you see, we say our demand is therefore all drugs of the same therapeutic and chemical class should be under price control. That is number 2 demand, which again is a prayer. I am not talking high in the air. It's a prayer in the Supreme Court petition. And we also say all existing combinations in FDCs where you use an essential drug, they should be put under price control. And our 4th demand is all funny FDCs in this country which doesn't have a useful essential medicine should be thrown out of the country. Sensible demands? Why should you have funny FDCs which don't make any sense? Just increases the economic burden. But patients will buy it because you see in the FDC you should take clear. Okay. Next. Yes, I told you about this. Next. What? Now, this is very funny. The simple average, imatinib, you know about imatinib? Who knows about imatinib? Huh?
Tyrosine kinase.
No, it may be tyrosine kinetic inhibitor, but what is it used for?
AML, acute thyroid.
Correct. How do you know all this?
She's a PG, so she's already.
So that's why you should not hide your bush light. So okay. And it was, what is the most popular brand name of imatinib? Gleevec. It's called Gleevec. It's all right. Good if you don't know brand names. It means you're a good doctor. And what was the price of imatinib tablets? 4,000 rupees per tablet. So for a 1 month course, 1,20,000. It is a cheap price because India is a developing country. In Japan and Korea, they're selling at much more, 10 times more. In US, they're selling at anything they want. So the case went to the Supreme Court till we all were involved, and they said we deserve a patent. We said he does not deserve a patent, and there is a reasons for why. I'm not going into that reasons. We'll go in the next talk. They lost the case, which means people who are making other people generic manufacturers. Generic means drugs out of patent of imatinib. We're continuing to make. So what price they were making, and then their government tenders. So it came down to 29 rupees per tablet from 4,000. And our simple average selling price, which is stupid because it does not have any connection with the cost of the input, is about 3,000 rupees. Selling price. So this is proof that the selling price is Chidambaram's idea was a funny idea. It has no application of mind. Probably he's applied his mind because he knew it will benefit pharma companies, therefore it will benefit him also. So this is obviously a wrong selling price. Should have been about, this was selling at 29 rupees. Even 10MC will be 29, 30 rupees. You can't believe, no? This is 29 rupees. It was 4,000 rupees per tablet that fellow was selling. And then they said, we are giving some special scheme for people with AML. What special scheme? They'll be giving over 100 patients free in Bombay. If somebody is in Tirunelveli, you can forget it. So now even this simple average price and divide 2,900 by 29. How much is it? About 10,000%. Now this will be more closer to the cost of production, isn't it? This will be or this will be? This will be. So let us assume the cost of production is 25 rupees or even 20 rupees. I'm sure it's 15 rupees. But let us assume even it's 29 rupees. They are selling at 0.5% profit because it's government tender. So this divided by this, it gives you 10,000% margin. So the selling price is so much way off, 10,000%. So same thing, the amlodipine. Rajasthan Medical Services, Tamil Nadu will be 1 rupee per 10 tablets. Our price is 2 rupees because we make in small quantities. Selling price is 31 rupees, 3,000% more. Enalapril, another pills, selling price 32. Our price and TNMC price, RMC, 1 rupee 20 paise for 10 tablets. It's 2,000% more, 2,000. So on. Just all to tell you how ridiculous this simple average. So we have demanded in the court. We don't want the simple average. We want to go back to this cost plus mechanism, which is the most sensible mechanism. Next. Yeah, this is the same thing. Okay, these are our cost price, albendazole. Do you know what price albendazole is selling before price control? One tablet. What do you use albendazole for? Everybody knows very well. Famous brand name? Albend or something like that. No? Okay. Now, albendazole, what was the price selling before 2013? Do you know? Any idea? Much more, 25 rupees. 25 rupees, 19 rupees per tablet. Whereas our cost of production, a tablet, not 10 tablets. Our cost of production is 60 paise. We are selling at 1 rupee. So, I told you, cost price. Our cost price is now it is increased. At 11 rupees for 10 tablets means about 1 rupee. Ceiling price fixed by government is 69 rupees. Means 6 rupees, about 7 rupees per tablet. So where is 7 rupees, where is 1 rupee? Okay, this is an improvement because before price control it would have been 250 rupees. It is an improvement, I agree. But it is not improvement enough. Okay. Because why, which government? Because only governments use albendazole, governments and municipal corporations and schools. Now, why would I pay 69 rupees for 10 tablets when I can get from low cost or somebody else at 1 rupee 50 paise? I would go for the lower thing. Okay, so this is all our costs, this is government selling price, the ratio, etc. Next, to show the absurdity. Now here in this table, what I have done is, here is the ceiling price by the simple average mechanism. Here is the ceiling price by the cost plus mechanism of 1995, what she said. So, plus 100%, alla 100% margin irukku. So albendazole ceiling price is 12 rupees for 10 tablets by cost plus 12.20, inge 69.90. So DPCO3 ceiling price is 69, their price would have been 1995's cost plus mechanism would have been 12 rupees, and so on. You can see the differences. So we have demanded that we want to go back to cost plus mechanism. Industry does not want. They are having a good time, even on the 10%. Okay, next. These are some monopoly prices which are patented drugs. They cost very high. This DPCO does not address the problem because none of us, we have not been able to settle on a formula to control patented prices. But this will tell you something like it's 3,000 rupees per tablet, etc., etc. This is Dasatinib. I think I don't know what it is used for. I think all these nibs are used for some form of cancer. So these are the kind of atrocious costs. Nobody can afford it in this country. Nobody can, unless your state funds it, or unless you want to sell your house and etc. Even middle class, even I think some except Ambani and all, somehow that class of people can afford this. Sure. Next, para 19 I told you, government under the DPCO can, the chairman of the NPPA, which does all this National Pharmaceutical Pricing Authority, when he put a lot of these drugs in price control under para 19, which is not there in the NLEM. People went to the court, Bombay High Court. We also went opposing companies, supporting the government. We won. They went to Supreme Court. It was dismissed in 2 minutes by the Supreme Court. So we won still. But the guy, the chairman who did this, is transferred. So he's a nice fellow. His name was Cheenu Srinivasan. From NPPA chairman, regulating this thing, he became Director General of Sports Authority of India. And he was in charge of Commonwealth Games. So anyway, okay, next. So, but what has happened is because of this transfer business, even though they won the case, the courts, in fact, go back, the court said, this is what the comments by the court in the final orders. We did not think that the impugned orders, that is, impugned orders means orders they challenged using para 19, suffer from arbitrariness because the pharma company said it's arbitrary, or total non-application of mind. This is the word they use. If I don't like you, your way, see, he has not applied his mind. This is like a bad word, but polite bad word. Yeah, non-application of mind. According to the petitioners, no extraordinary circumstances have been indicated. So what did this court say further said? Once the treatment is prolonged and sometimes extends to whole life, then the availability of essential drugs is the duty of the government. It's great to hear such sentences from the from the High Court judge. It is not that the constitutional mandate is served by merely bringing the drugs in market. Just making it from 300 crores to 1.2 trillion rupees is not enough. The drugs and medicines must reach all those who can afford and to those who do not afford. It is to serve the larger public interest that the Essential Commodities Act 1995, because all this DPCO is under the Essential Commodities Act, empowers issuance of the price control order, etc., etc. This is a stinging rebuke to all these pharma companies. But they haven't learned. They'll still trying to fiddle around. They'll go and write the Secretary Pharma. They do all this. Okay. Next. It saw this from 77 drugs, it came to all the NLEM drugs, but with a flawed mechanism of simple price, simple average. They should have retained that cost plus. So for the other demands, the case is still on. But now what they did, they had a very good lawyer, NPPA, who always supported us in the court. The government should oppose us, no? Because government, we are criticizing the government. But his contract was not renewed. And then there was an advertisement in the paper about 2 months back, saying that we want counsel for the NPPA on contract. So he also applied. And they got about 20 applications. They found him, the committee found only him suitable. But he has not been given an appointment order as yet. And he won't be given because He's saying these fellows are right. So, okay. I think it's over. Let's go next. So I've said what we suggest, what we are demanding. I told you I won't repeat it. Okay, next. This is an interesting calculation. Now, you know the TNMC and Rajasthan Medical Services Corporation. You know how much TNMC spends for medicines budget? How much is the medicines budget? It's 400 crores, I think, when I last saw it 1 year back. Let us say it's 300 crores for ease of calculation. 300 crores, I'm impressed with the TNMC list and the RMC list because it contains all kinds of costly medicines at very reasonable prices they got. And they have been by and large able to maintain quality. Over 15 years, initially they had a lot of problems. Okay, now suppose they spend 300 crores. Now from that figure, how do you arrive at if everybody in this country has to get free medicines, how much will the government have to spend? Essential drugs and they say specialty drugs, which are very costly. I've seen that list. It's available. Simple arithmetic. What will you do? What is the population of Tamil Nadu? 7 crores. And what is the population of India? 130 crores. So 130 divided by 7 is how much? Say something. Roughly 20. Okay, let's say roughly 20. So little less than 20. So the country's requirement, if at Tamil Nadu government, Tamil Nadu's Services Corporation prices, it will be 20 times because 130 or by 7 is 20 times. So what should be the cost of giving medicine to the entire country free? 6,000 crores. But there is one mistake you are making, one factor. Correct. They claim 50%, but you are saying 20%, I say 30%. Okay, let's say 20%. You understood a point? Out of every 100 people who are sick and in this state, only 20% go to the public health system, and therefore only 20% use the medicine. Suppose our larger figure also, which means only 20% of Indians are going to use the government medicines. But if you want 100%, you have to multiply 6,000 by. How much is that? 30,000 crores. So 30,000 crores is the amount you require to give free medicines to everybody in this country at the TNMC prices. And assuming rational healthcare, good prescriptions, etc., etc. Small money, 30,000 crores, isn't it? It's small money compared to for the big country like this. It's very small money. But it's a vision, political vision. And fortunately and surprisingly, Tamil Nadu successive governments, AIDMK and DMK, first I think TNMC came under Jayalalitha was the chief minister. Next it was DMK. DMK tried to scuttle it, but then people told it, don't scuttle this. This is a very political thing. So every government has supported, because normally the next government comes, they'll undo the good work of the previous government. They have not done this for 18 plus 5, 23 years. It's very good. Among the good things in Tamil Nadu government, there are a lot of bad things you'll tell me, I know. Okay, so like next. Since in public health systems in India, people tell me all kinds of economics here. I say the barrier is only first two, none except in the mind. Failure of imagination. What else can you say? Anything? I mean, if you don't visualize the future, how will you go to the future? As doctors, I think that is what I think. Everybody says impossible. No, please remember, impossible is in the mind for most things. I'm not asking you to fly from here without aeroplanes. But by and large, we got the medicines, but we don't have imagination. Okay, and this part of the thing is finished. Next. So current issues are that there are lobbies in the government now and they are trying to dilute DPCO, they are trying to dismantle National Pharmaceutical Pricing Authority which implements the DPCO, and we are fighting this also. Pro-market lobby in ascendant among politicians and IAS also. They all want private sector involvement, they don't want public sector this thing and so on. Okay, so this part of it is finished, which should have been finished before Budgie, but we are not finishing it. Okay, now stents pricing are reduced, no? It used to be the patients were charging, hospitals were charging 2.5 lakhs something. Before it's 25,000, 30,000. But unfortunately, stents, knee implants, and a lot of other, and cochlear transplant, and something else. So, knee implant, it was 1.5 lakhs, 1.6 lakhs. Actually, now it's 30,000. So, how they did it, etc., I would have liked to share, but we don't have time. Since you will get this, you can read it. Okay, I'll stop here. Any questions on this part? For a stenting procedure is still the patient is paying the same price because they're still making the same amount of money, and that is happening because we don't have a price ceiling on procedures in this country, which they're trying in the Clinical Establishment Act. Many of our friends are there in that, but there's a lot of opposition from IME. What do you expect from IME? Never become members of IME. If you become, fight it and fix it. Okay.
So, when you are putting these comparisons between what the production cost, even if the selling price is based on DPCA 99 compared to 2000, it is a complete logical, and anyone who looks at it will find it okay.
Any 8th class boy would try to tell you.
But why are we fighting so long to get it right?
You tell me. 70 years, why it took so long? You'll cry. We are not foolish, we are not stupid, we are full country of intelligent people. In America, we go there and discover a lot of things, but here we do not do anything. I don't know. You are younger generation, please don't repeat the stupid mistakes we have done. I really don't know. I think it's again a failure of imagination and being stirred by the lack of failure to change things. There is no other reason, especially in health.
I think this is a very important question Sudarshini asked, because I think what Cheenu has helped all of us understand is that the drug pricing arguments are not rocket science. This is not something that you require reams of paper and calculations and all. It's as simple as what we have just seen. Despite that, you have to fight 17 years and still not go anywhere in Supreme Court, and that I think is just the absolute simplest way to explain the power of the pharma companies. And the problem is that much of this we do not know. So when we go to the MRP, we see the MRP, we check whether the chap is selling 1 rupee more than the MRP. And 50 paisa extra, MRP say that 50 paisa vapas kudu, that we make a fight for. But the fact that the MRP is 6,000% profit, we don't know. And I think that is the one of the reasons why we requested Cheenu to come and talk to doctors. Because many health activists and consumer activists, we sort of understand or know that okay, and there are some sort of, like Cheenu said, many organized things. But as doctors, when we are prescribing medicines, today Hari was just telling me about his experience in the government hospital. Automatically we believe government hospital la free quality nalla. But if you actually ask someone like Cheenu who deals with making medicines, the quality control of Tamil Nadu Medical Services Corporation and for Rajasthan Medical Services Corporation, for example, are among the really top class, quality control mechanism that we have. Now, despite that, you have this general understanding that you are free, and all of you, those of you who are in private practice will know that the patient immediately comes and says, "Yenna sir, idu kuduga, osti drug kuduga sir." That whole thing about if you pay 10 times more, somehow the quality is. Where has all that come from? That's all because one Pharma's marketing is so strong, but more importantly, all of us as practitioners have bought into this. We also generally believe, oh, loose package la vanda seri illa, edo vaasna varudhu. I mean, we also tend to believe. How many of us buy generic drugs? How many of us know about generic?
See, there are other things I didn't say, because to do that, I think if you remove brands completely, then people have to sell only by generic names. In Bangladesh, they are doing it. They removed brands in 1982. And everybody said, oh, Bangladesh will collapse, because, and we will not give aid. And Bangladesh was a very poor country. Everybody continued to give aid for America and Switzerland, etc. Bangladesh, all no brands. So, how do you distinguish between Glaxo's paracetamol and my paracetamol? And then they got price control. So, what they did, they made a compromise. Okay, just to say, Glaxo's paracetamol, they will call it G paracetamol. Pfizer's paracetamol, they will call it P paracetamol. That is it. It's effectively, so that is, we have to do that. So, the moment you say, talk about removing brands, there will be such a lot of ruckus in the country.
A lot of opposition from the doctors.
Doctors will forget it. Even the government IAS officers will say, no, this is wrong.
And just a small point, for those of you who are interested in history, where did Bangladesh get the idea to remove brands from? They got it from the Hathi Commission of India. The government of India constituted a Hathi Commission in 1975 under Mr. Hathi. The name Hathi is the individual who did that. And he and that committee came up with some phenomenal visionary recommendations on how pharmaceuticals have to be regulated in a country. And this was submitted to the government of India. The government of India till now has not taken any action as far as I know on the Hathi committee. Drug price, whatever. But the issue of branding and generics, which was one of the really revolutionary or remarkable things Hathi did, Bangladesh took it up and took the step despite all the Cheenu is saying. The US threatened, the Europeans threatened, saying we will not give you aid and all of that. Despite that, they just said, to hell, it's our people, we have to give them the best possibility. This is the commission, and done it. So again, that shows the power of the pharma and the need of the doctors to get involved in all of this. Because if IMA decides, all the practicing physicians stop prescribing brands and start prescribing generic, the market will collapse.
Even in Western countries, America also, if you go there are not many brands. If you go to this thing, they'll give you, if you have malaria, you go to any even private doctor, he will give you in some small the plastic this thing, it will be typed outside, chloroquine, dosage, it won't be called Lariago. Most of the American pharma market doesn't have brands, except these new patented drugs, they have brands. Okay, the price of the stent is reduced, but the patient is still paying the same thing for the thing. And that is not happening because there is no ceiling price on procedures, which is to be done. Okay, now FDC and FDCs, everybody knows, fixed dose combination. And what is an FDC? Everybody knows? Madam? Next. This is the definition. And now I am going to go fast. When drug A and drug B is combined in one formulation, paracetamol plus ibuprofen, it is called combiflam. But combiflam should not be combined. I mean, it should not exist. But that is a different story. We'll come to it. So it's called an FDC. And in fixed means 40 mg and 20 mg, fixed ratio. That's why fixed dose combination. Okay, next. Now, FDC, now the Indian law says, section 122E of Drugs and Cosmetics Act rules says that, okay, first thing is any new drug you have to do clinical trial, you agree that? Isn't it? Clinical trial, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. I hope you know all these things. Anyone? Okay. So, any new drug you have to do this.
Because everyone knows this.
Everybody is nodding head, more people nodding head for this than, I assume you know. Okay, at least you believe those who don't know that there are 4 phases, at least 4 phases on human, new drug has to be tried out in human beings. So you have to go up to phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 and phase 4. Phase 4 is when the drug is already in the market. Okay, and so according to the Indian law, they define new drug. What is a new drug? If suppose, let us say drug A is been approved, and it is approved, it's always approved for a specific indication and for a specific presentation as a tablet or this thing. But if you change the indication or you change even the strength, it is a new drug. And the law says, depending on the discretion of the drug controller, it will have to go for clinical trial, especially if it's a new indication. Fellows, paracetamol 500, it became 1000 mg, they should have sent it for clinical trial. But no, they approved it. So, this much you understand. Any new indication, new strength, new presentation, it becomes sustained release from just a regular tablet, it has to go for clinical trial. How much of the clinical trial, whether clinical trial requirements can be abbreviated, etc., that is under the powers of the Drug Control General of India. Okay, so this is what okay, and sometimes they say some drugs we combine for convenience because these drugs, the 2 drugs have been, A and B have been there in the market for a long time, then we are combining for convenience. The law says, but according to me and according to some of my friends, there is no such thing as convenience. A plus B is combined, you still prove, go send it for clinical trial. There will be drug-drug interaction, this, etc., etc. So combinations, fixed dose combinations are mostly not allowed, are not acceptable, not scientific and are irrational. I'll tell you and only in those circumstances it is allowed, when, as they say, for convenience, because better compliance, because 2 drugs have to be taken anyway, and isoniazid plus rifampicin, you have to take both combined. So fixed dose combination is all right because there will be better compliance. And in TB, in AIDS, there are a lot of drugs which are combined, better compliance. So there are about 20 drugs in the NLEM which are FDCs, cotrimazole. Then there are others because of scientific reasons, synergy it comes. So you combine magnesium trisilicate plus aluminum hydroxide, or trimethoprim sulfamethoxazole, cotrime, and so on. Aluminum amoxicillin plus clavulanic acid. Why is it combined? You know?
Ability to break down the amoxicillin is talked about.
Wonderful, you get A plus in pharmacology. So, yeah, what she said, clavulanic acid helps the absorption of amoxicillin much better. So it is considered, and there are no other complications, which has been, so amoxi plus clavulanic acid, it is called augmentin. Yeah, highly overpriced drug, but that's a different question. So let us assume, I am cutting short because you are all doctors, there are certain conditions, FDCs are legit, and there are other conditions, and that applies to most of the FDCs. They are not acceptable, they are not scientific, they unnecessarily increase the pill burden on the patient, and then also sometimes you need different strengths of the medicines at different stages of the disease. So you have to slightly make a little bit, reduce the dosage, etc. If it is FDC, you cannot do that. This is what is called titration. You can't titrate the individual thing. So FDC is an inconvenience. So in some cases it's convenient, I have told you this. But, so this is the broad, this thing about FDC. But what has happened, and they are also new drug, because if it is combined for the first time in this country, and the company is doing it first time, but whether A and B may have been there for 20 years, 30 years in this country, but A and B I am combining first time and saying I am claiming for something, then it has to have clinical trial, it is a new drug. Okay. And also pharma companies will complain, if you ban so many FDCs, market will collapse. What will happen to India's image, ease of business? I am not misquoting, all these words are used frequently. Ease of business. When foreign white men will not come here for business, pre restriction quota. You invest from the all this logic is used. So they said, okay, okay, so we'll give you a chance. They said, we'll give you 18 months. In 18 months, you submit data for all these illegal FDCs. All the fentanyls, all the VIX 500, all this. They said, Saridon. Saridon is there for ages. So, they said, do this, and we'll, and if your data is acceptable, because understood, by and large will approve it. So 6,000 FDCs data was given, and this same data, I wanted to say safety efficacy. They gave some data. Should have been proper Form 44. It's called Form 44 data. It gives you all kinds of things: safety, efficacy, drug-drug interaction, other. So 6,000 applications they given. This deadline was given. All FDCs in the market before 2012, some October 2012, and without proper central government approval, but still marketing in the country. We want data, and then they give 18 months from October 2012. 18 months. 18 months. Your mathematics is better. So I think that I am making a mistake. It was something I mean before that, because July 2013, that was a deadline. So all these people submitted to, and they appointed a committee called Co-Committee of experts to look into all these applications. And what the Co-Committee committee did, all these 6,000 applications, that means doesn't mean 6,000 different FDCs, because there will be a lot of overlap. A lot of people will be making Corex type of thing, or anyway, they classified the 6,000 FDC applications for regularization into 4 categories. Category A was, these drugs don't deserve to be accepted, they're irrational. So they said this should be banned. There are 1,083 of them. Now, I have to say a lot of things about the other categories, but take category A. You are with me till now? Are you with me? Okay. Now what is category A? Irrational. Out of the irrational FDCs. So the committee said it is irrational, and they given reasons. They banned it. They banned it March 2016. It's a historic step. 2016 is 2 years back. Don't look there. 2 years back. So why is this gone?
Because
He's taking it.
So what would you do as a pharma company in this country, typical pharma company? If your FDCs, if your VIX 500 is now banned?
Manufacture it in other things.
You can't, because that particular combination is banned.
add some other engineering.
Yeah, then you have to go to the clinical trial, it's a new drug.
Quoting the history.
I'm going to quote, you deserve to be. You know the Indian mentality. Go to court. They went to court. And this is called forum convenience. This is a Latin term. Lawyers and judges are very fond of using Latin terms, but they can use Indian words. But forum convenience means basically it means forum shopping. Which means what? Some companies went to Madras High Court, some companies went to Karnataka High Court, but suddenly they found the Delhi High Court was handing over stay orders on this FDCs, on this action, on this ban. So everybody rushed, 400 people rushed. So we said we have to intervene in this. This is nonsense. Because we saw the decisions taken by the committee of the rushed. Mostly it was correct. There are some small problems, it's all right. So they got it stayed, they got the ban stayed in March 2016 with Delhi High Court. In December 2016, Delhi High Court said, he said, according to the Drugs and Cosmetics Act, if you have to pass any ban order, you have to consult the Drug Technical Advisory Board, DTAB, which is part of the Act. Now, we looked into the Act. It says at 12 places DTAB has to be consulted. But at no place it says when you have to ban a drug, you have to consult DTAB. We told the no. And then lawyers, and then who are opposing us? Kapil Sibal, Chidambaram, all these famous guys for the pharma companies. And we were supporting the government. So they said, no, it means this, it means that, and they convinced the judge. Justice N-Law. So it's the banned state. I mean, the ban on the ban, which means they're unbanned actually. So then the matter went to Supreme Court, government, we also went to the Supreme Court, special leave appeal, and Supreme Court, Nariman and Kaul, Nariman, the junior Nariman, very smart lawyer, judge. He said, I've read the case, he told the pharma companies, and I don't agree with the Delhi High Court judgment. DTAB need not be consulted, and the ban should stay. If you got to say anything new, tell us. He's like this, he's just how he talks actually. And don't waste my time, and it's the country's time, he'll say. So, pharma companies didn't know, again Kapil Sibal was there, all these fellows were there. So they had tried hard to find something. Then finally he said, sir, your lordship, this Kokte committee's report giving reasons is not clear. There are some perversities in it. Some stupid perversities means some contradictions. They were, but not so great. So the Kapil Sibal said, when the court was getting up, only for this time, although DTAB need not be consulted, we accept your lordship. But for this time, please appoint another subcommittee either through DTAB or somebody else, and let them go through all these 344 FTC ban reasons and give a better reason, more. So, okay, we accept it. So, a subcommittee, he said, government should appoint a subcommittee in which IDAN and the government will also have to make submissions, and companies will make submissions. So, the subcommittee was formulated in March 2000, this year, 18, and we were asked to give submissions to the subcommittee by April 7th. We all rushed, 344 FDCs, lot of work. We gave it. On April 8th, say we have increased the deadline. April 7th was the deadline. April 8th, they say we increased the deadline. What is the point? I've already submitted it. And I wouldn't have broken my head so much. But, so this happened. That's the side this thing. So, Nanded said, and this committee, subcommittee was headed by Dr. Neelima Shirchagar. She is some national professor of pharmacology. And there are 2 or 3 other experts. So then they said, you can come and give a face-to-face presentation, which we did that in June 20th, last month. And we thought this subcommittee is going to be hostile. They were actually quite friendly to us. What happened to be 2-hour presentation turned out to be 5-hour presentation. They were talking and wanted a lot of clarification because they were too very irritated and by this nonsense FDCs. So now that is the situation. So the subcommittee report will come any day. It will go to the DTAB, and if the subcommittee says these 341 have to be banned, even the pharma companies don't like the reasons, it will be banned. So that is the thing. Now I'll go through the slides very fast. Yes, 100 people are making paracetamol combined with caffeine and say it's a new FDC. Wonderful. Exactly, they do this. Okay, next. So I saw in this 344 why some of the reasons given should be given. Actually, FDCs should not be tolerated, are irrational, and they have different half-life. One of the, say, if it's A plus B, A peaks at this time in 1 hour and B peaks after 14 hours. That's wrong. So there's one FDC, diclofenac with famotidine. Should be taken 3 times, other one is to be taken once. How can you combine? What will I do? 3 plus 1, how will I take it? Can you tell me? If one drug has to be taken 3 times a day, other drug has to be taken once a day, and you combine in FDC, now how will I take 3.5? What will be the mathematics? Arithmetic. So again, this kind of nonsense FDCs were there. And every one of them has from big companies which have medical directors with PhDs and MD and all this kind of thing. Okay. So like there's a lot of nonsense FDCs. Please go through them. Next. Now, apart from 344, after that deadline, March 2013 or something, new FDCs were approved by the government, which is not, these are all legally, central government has approved. Nimesulide plus levocetracin, totally nonsense. So, but now it's legal, but again still nonsense, which means even and who are the people who are approving? There is a new drug advisory committee of experts. Okay, vitamin C plus selenium. Selenium and zinc have no role. Zinc has no role. So, I don't know what role vitamin C has, because the only role vitamin C is for that rickets, no, what is it? Scurvy, and scurvy is not seen in India except probably in Konkan. So, yeah, next. So I have told you about the new, all these legal issues, central government approval, and many of them are made without central government approval. No safety efficacy data. Okay. Next. Yeah, next. I said all this. Yeah. Now, what is the law under which a drug is banned? Is Section 26A of the Drugs and Cosmetics Act. So, how can I ban it? The central government, first of all, should be satisfied. Now, I can get the satisfaction by any method, not only by talking to the DTAB, which they claimed, but I can appoint a bunch of experts who are really experts and say they recommended it. Or I should be satisfied, and only drugs can be banned. There is a definition of drug. You cannot ban, say, ginger and black pepper, and you can't call it a drug. It should involve risk to human beings, and it should have a therapeutic value claimed. If it does not have, if it has risks and there is no therapeutic justification. Basically, these are what it means is, translated in simple terms, it has no safety, adequate safety, risk, no efficacy. If it says it cures headache, it should cure headache, not after 5 days, and or not at all. So efficacy, safety, and therapeutic justification. If you combine A plus B, there should be therapeutic justification. It should be scientific. So, and it should be in public interest. If none of these things are there, then it can't be banned. It should be, all this should be banned. So therefore, all these 344 is banned using this. Now this particular, every word was torn when disputed by the pharma companies in the Supreme Court and High Court. This is what they do, and they are paid big money for this. Next. So so no, if a substance, I'm calling it substance, the substance does not have efficacy, it's not a drug. If it doesn't have a therapeutic justification, it cannot be approved. So, and if the risk is more than the benefit, it cannot be approved. It may have efficacy, it may have therapeutic justification, it is high risk. Rofecoxib, a lot of people had died because of heart attack, which is hidden by the company in the clinical trials. It came out in Merck. And so many of us consumed Rofecoxib. Then somebody discovered that these people are hiding the data. Merck, big company. So Rofecoxib was banned. But they are now paying out a lot of, in America they pay out $1 billion, because of tort law, lawyers file cases. Okay, every drug has some use. If it does not no use, no claim, it cannot be a drug. And no drug is really harmless. Any drug taken inappropriately for the wrong condition can be harmful. And even if it is taken for the right condition, it's got a harm. That you have to know. Okay, then. Next. I'm not going through this. Next. Efficacy, I put all kinds of permutations. Why I did this was because one of those fancy lawyers got up in the court and said, sir, if the drug has efficacy but not safety but not therapeutic justification, it can still be approved. Then he said 3-4 conditions. He said it in such a nice way, everybody said wah wah wah. Clapping is not allowed, but they would have done it. So I put up this next day, this chart, which to show that what he says is nonsense. This is how the law should be implemented. Next. But the total FDCs in this country is 50% of the market. And our estimate is, we have done some calculations and surveys, 50% of that 50% is rational, and 50% is so total FDCs is about 56,000 crores, 58, 56. Out of this, 28,000 crores is rational, 28,000 is irrational. I'm not telling you how we did the calculation, but I can tell you. Okay. So, if we have only rational drugs in this market, 25,000 or 26 or 28,000 crores should go. This 2,000 is only the tip of the iceberg, 2,000 crores, 344, etc. Okay, next. So these are some popular FDCs. FDCs, any two antibiotics you combine, irrespective, antibiotics have certain spectra. You cannot combine, and it should, you see, another requirement of a FDC, rational FDC is that it should meet genuine need of a real population. So you cannot just cook up and combine A and B. Okay, next. Now, this says sales of combination single drugs is a 2014 figure. Now, in India, combination drugs is about 50%, single ingredient drugs are 50%. Assuming single ingredient drugs are by and large rational. Whereas see in other countries, combination is 33, Russia is 23%, US is only 13%, UK 13%. So this figure should come down from 49 to much less. Then our market is more rational, more scientific. If you let them alone, you will end up prescribing because you means not you, but several doctors out of pharma pressure, out of peer pressure, or after my professor is prescribing this FDC. See, even though it's irrational. Hota hai na? It happens, if a professor is a very great man or great woman. But we need to develop courage to even question the great man or great woman. Okay, next. So here is an example. Single ingredient formulations, this includes 1000 mg paracetamol, is only 5.5% of the total paracetamol containing formulations in this country. So apart from that single ingredient 5.5%, which includes 1000 mg, 500 mg, 650 mg, most of the formulations contained in the country are irrational. The combinations, 95% of paracetamol contain irrational. But people are popping it in. It's genuine, this is genuine market sales. So next. I've told you all this. Now, giving you some other principles adopted because we have to tell the subcommittee what are the principles we adopted. So these are some of the principles. Next. Next. Now I'll show you some FDCs. I'll take 5 minutes in this and 5 minutes in something else. Just go one step before. Because when we are finishing a presentation, I think thanks to Anurag, who was very impressive, and this Madam Neelima Shirsagar asked, since you have done such a lot of homework, can you tell us, we are going to prepare the report next week, at least two things which you would like to see in the report. 5 of us here, this side of the table. We didn't give 2 things, we said we had 20 things we want to see in the report. Out of those 25 things, we gave an 11-page thing afterwards. But these are some of the things we wrote. And in which we said, all FDCs of antibiotics and of NSAIDs, antidiabetics and antihypertensive should be reviewed. Not only the 344, ever in the market. Review of all FDCs ever approved from 1961 till date. There is a big table in the CDSCO website which gives all the FDCs approved. And FDCs of topical corticosteroids should be banned. I'll tell you why. This is one of the demands we put. There is also independently, we got a case in this High Court, Delhi High Court, with the Indian Association of Dermatologists, Venereologists and Leprologists, IADVEL. And they are the lead petitioners, we are the second petitioners. Our main demand is FDCs of topical corticosteroids should go. I'll tell you why. So this is also we said, and so on and so forth. Next. So category wise we made some broad submissions of the 344 FDCs. Next. These are all those 344 FDCs. Next. You see, go back. You see, chlorpheniramine maleate has a half-life of anything between 13 hours to 43 hours. Codeine has about 3 to 4 hours. So, when in Corex, codeine and CPM is combined, it's a totally nonsense FDC. Incompatibility. This is called pharmacokinetic incompatibility. Do you know the difference between pharmacokinetics and pharmacodynamics? Yes? You said yes, nodding your head. Pharmacokinetics is something, all this like half-lives, etc. Alright, next. Now it has got some funny things, no? Tranexamic, you have heard of this proanthocyanidin? I had to look it up. No established use is there in literature, but still these were in the market. If they had actually gone through an approval process, probably there's a good chance it would not have been approved. Zinc carnosine, there's nothing, no literature, I found no literature. There's some literature saying zinc is useful for cold. Instead of, it was kind of a paper which says if you take zinc, you'll get well in 1 week. If you don't take zinc, you'll get well in 7 days. So that kind of a paper it was. And it was useless paper. And now this is, have you heard of this thing called serratiopeptidase? What is it?
Reduces the swelling.
Doesn't reduce, you see the paper? It doesn't reduce anything. It has got no use. You can even put chalk powder. And serratiopeptidase is a process generated by some silkworms, etc. It was first innovated, the innovator was Takeda Pharmaceuticals, Japan. They have withdrawn 2011 from the international market. But we fellows are continuing. So if you ask any doctor, serratiopeptidase, wonderful drug, what? No, there's nothing. Everything serratiopeptidase is. Even now, after this, the new drugs which have been approved in the central government, some of them have serratiopeptidase. Now, who's going? See, this is the kind of 344 devils you try to bear, other devils come up. And this is a problem for you, younger generation. I'm very sorry. We make all these mistakes. So now this serratiopeptidase, you'll see in so many things. So anyway, next. And this is another detail I'm not going through now. See what they did basically, they banned so many drugs before in the 80s and 90s. But they banned it again. First of all, they should not have been in the market, which means, so this is a stupid thing we are pointing out, that you are making a mistake. Next. So next, this is over. Now cold and cough remedies, just go ahead next. I saw about 150 FDCs out of the 344 list, only cold and cough. And it contained all kinds of permutations and combinations of all these items. All the names I've given, mucolytics, antitussives, and most of them combined antitussives with expectorants, which is wrong. So go ahead. So next. So see, all these categories they would combine, everything they will combine, and again it's in the market without safety efficacy studies. So next. I want to show you last one. Go ahead. Just before this? Yeah. And nimesulide, is another nonsense drug. It's not practically used. It's EU has a strong, only for 2 indications. We are banned for nimesulide for under 12, but we are not banned for. It's not manufactured in USA, where nimesulide started, was innovated by who? That Post-it 3M company, 3M Post-it, yellow thing you post. That company discovered this, but it is not approved in America. Next. And phenylephrine is another doubtful efficacy. Next one. Yeah, next. Go ahead, next. Yeah, this is, go back. This is the famous Corex. It was the number 1 top selling drug. It's gone now. Next. What they claimed, Pfizer claimed about Corex. They said, sir, it has been approved, they said in the court. And what is this? What are they saying? So we said, if it has been approved, at least show us the letter. Where is the safety efficacy data? He says we got a NOC. Now imagine that there's no such thing called NOC for a drug in law. And think of the most dirtiest paper in those handwritten, those typewriter machines of 1995 and signed by some Drug Control General of India. We have no objection in making a combination of CPM plus codeine. Since that is the NOC. I said, such a NOC does not exist in the law. Should have, okay, assume this is the NOC after the safety efficacy data. Show us the safety efficacy data. He says it's not necessary. NOC has been issued. He has issued NOC because you and I had a glass of wine in the evening, and he said, okay, I'll issue NOC in the evening. That's how. For this, so this is Pfizer. Next. Now I've looked up terpene. I found there's absolutely lack of any evidence of terpene. and is removed from the American market in 1990s. Next. Now this is the famous Saridon. This is what I want to show you. Paracetamol plus propionate plus caffeine. Caffeine is unnecessary, but propionate, these are the problems in WHO literature. So everybody is popping serious problems. If you look at it, it's very serious problems. Imagine the amount of population in this country consuming Saridon. Next. So I now will go, and I've got 5 more minutes. I will tell you why we are opposing. There are a lot of interesting stuff. This is very interesting. Even I am not a doctor. But I found it interesting because I said, what headache we have to do this. But I got so interested, and I think for you it is a question of your reputation. If as doctors, if you prescribe these things, one is of ethics, others of a scientific reputation, integrity. I mean, this is just the bare tip of the iceberg of irrational FDCs in this country. So as you get into your MD and all this, I think you need to look into all this kind of things. That's my main message. I'll just spend 5 minutes on FDCs of topical corticosteroids. That last slide 4 or 4, I think. This one is called, make it big. This is an FDC of cold and cough that enrofloxacin plus bromhexine. Bromhexine, you know, asthmatic conditions is used. Now I looked up enrofloxacin. Now what does it say? Enrofloxacin Baytril is currently approved by the US FDA for the treatment of individual pets and domestic animals in the United States. In September 2005, the FDA withdrew approval of Baytril for use in water to treat flocks of poultry, as this practice was noted to promote the evolution of fluoroquinolone-resistant strains of bacterium Campylobacter, blah blah blah. So a drug which is used for only pets and animals has been combined for human beings and is in the market. Okay, next. So go to that thing. Now you will see the top selling FDCs of derma FDCs. Derma nobody bothers, no? Because if you get MD in surgery, you will never think of doing MD in derma, isn't it? Am I wrong? Not prestigious. Or MD radiology, you'll get, of course you'll go, and orthopedic.
Anybody who gets top runs, if they don't get radiology, second option would be dermatology.
Now it's dermatology. I am told it's changed now. Yes. Okay. Go to this 31. Yeah. Now go to this. So these are the top selling dermatology. See, always all these top selling FDCs of derma, and they're all unscientific. They contain an antibiotic, they contain an antifungal, they contain topical corticosteroids, and they contain drug X, which is so these are all this way. And see beta-metazole, which is reasonably okay. See, FDC, corticosteroids have this ranking in terms of potency. Beta-metazole is at the bottom of, it's not so harmful. But the topmost harmful is clobetasol, and then mometazole. So you'll contain all these top selling TCS FDCs have clobetasol or mometazole. And what is the role of this? There is no role, because it is anti-inflammatory. And so fellow will be rubbing, so he'll stop probably rubbing. But what is the kind of devastation it causes? You will see. This Panderm is one of the top selling TCS FDCs. Go next. Next. Yeah, you don't find this kind of side effects, adverse effects, and dangerous what we find in this country of TCS FDCs anywhere in the world. And go ahead. So our fellows, our dermatologists have become hotcakes in international conferences. One of my friends, he tells me this. He's like, people are interested because so scientific issue. Oh, we don't see this. We don't see this. I said, we see this because we have all these finding dangerous FDCs. Okay. Okay, this is my friend, and I really respect them, because if every professional medical association, the pediatricians, the physicians, and the gynecologists in each of their fields, they figured out all these dangerous medicines and FDCs, we'll have a fantastic India. We are the only professional association who is actually sticking the neck out, and not that they don't have factions within them, etc., etc. Next. So, I'm not going next. I want to show you the photos. What are the photos? These are the kind of presentations from side effects you get, all because of a steroid and clobetazole, and mostly clobetazole, mometasone, and some of these top 4. So, and most of these things you see are they say, my dermatologist friends say, they are irreversible. And many of these are clobetazole and mometasone are in the fairness creams. Fairness creams, we all, Tamil Nadu, we are all dark people, we want fair. Fair girls, fair boys. Okay, so go ahead. Actually, it's not Tamil Nadu, everywhere. Except maybe Kashmir or something. So these are the kind of presentation. So they got different names for all this. Dermatologist, tinea, that, dermatophysis, all this. So go ahead. Just show the, see, double-edged tinea. So double-edged because they got 2 edges. Now, see, they were not seeing these kind of things even 10 years back. Now, this before that, in topical FDCs, there will only be betamethasone, which is not so harmful. But betamethasone went under price control. So these fellows had to find something else. They started putting clobetazole and other things. Go fast. You'll have an idea of how bad things are. These are in genitals. See this, and these are. If you think these are irreversible, can you imagine? You can make out which parts of the body are these. Yeah. Child, young man. These are the culprits. Now, if these are irreversible, can you imagine how a person has to live? So, these are the famous culprits. Okay, I think that's finished. Next, there's no next. Yeah, this was pointed as harmful. They came out with ring out plus, minor modification, but the same. Essentially, it contains the same harmful corticosteroids. Okay, so when you see what we are trying to say is when you need only an antifungal. Use an antifungal. Why do you use a corticosteroid with it? Okay, next. I think. Yeah, that's. So I just wanted to alert you to this great menace, which is there in fairness creams and all this, and everything else. When you want to use anybody, for anybody in the family. Only when you think an antibiotic will solve a problem, topical antibiotic, use doctor. Do your research as doctors. If I can do the research, you can do it. Certainly, much better than me. And don't use any FDCs, topical FDCs which have a steroid. Mostly not indicated. Steroid function is only anti-inflammatory. Okay. Thank you. And the case yesterday also there was a hearing on this case. It's okay.
There in this book, or at least the early way it is developed, a layperson's guide to medicine. I strongly recommend all of you to download it from the LOCOST website, I think.
Which will be operation in 1 month.
Okay, so maybe in a month's time you can look at it. There is a freely downloadable PDF of this book. It's a huge resource. Much of the stuff that Cheenu talked about and nothing that's there in your pharmacology textbooks. But absolutely essential stuff for those of us who are in practice. So I strongly recommend this book as a thing. Okay, so I think with that we will close the session. In case there are questions.
5 minutes?
Yeah, those who need to leave, please go ahead and leave. I know there's issues of curfew and all of that. If not, even if you can just get a quick round of questions or feedback and then.
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, ways to know the quality of the drug before prescribing to patient.
Okay. I'll answer that question. Your answer to this.
No.
I also had a question.
Tell me, is it relevant to this immediate presentation? I'll answer that. I'm not. Don't forget.
I would just like you to comment quickly on this clinical trials and if you wish.
Next presentation. Next time, call me.
So,
It's a big topic.
one thing related to this categorization of the committee that you said. So, this is basically how people counter any proactive method that we do. So,
Which categories?
the four categories that you mentioned. So, basically now we are stuck on banning the 1000 FDCs, whereas we should actually be banning this. We should actually be looking at
Need more information.
it needs experts' opinion. The category 3, you said it was
Category 3 was rational.
is rational.
Category 4, they want post-marketing
Yeah,
evidence.
phase 4 evidence.
Yes, you're right.
That's
Absolutely
it.
right.
So we should actually be looking at forming a committee for category 2 and looking at again a clinical trial for category 3.
No, I didn't tell you. Now we are something we were exposing in the Delhi High Court yesterday also. Even in the category 3, which is what Gopte Committee has declared as rational FDCs, there are a lot of problems. In fact, some of them are in direct contradiction of the drugs, the FDCs which have been suggested for banning. So here is committee which gives the same combination should be banned, the same combination should be approved. So it is a lot of problems there. And I think what they should have done is what some of you said right from the beginning. No central government approval, ban, finished. You suspend, you prove your headache and come get this thing, it should be off the market. And that was 2000 crores, it is not going to be, no share market will go down. I don't care.
Madam, she asked me a question. This, I think that's the last question. Oh, you have a question? Yeah.
Sir, actually, like I don't know. Maybe the question will be very basic. Like if you are in a clinic setup and we are gonna write generic drugs, and what if the pharmacies around you have only like brands, and also if only FDCs are available in the pharmacies, and no, I mean, like if you are saying right for any derm condition there is an antifungal or an antibiotic plus steroid. If that combination is alone available there, and if we write this, it becomes like if they go there, they tend to buy that only. No, sir?
Yes, I agree. Yes.
So how?
Expanding on it, sir. What if it becomes a pharmacist's choice? What
Yes,
is going to
yes,
be
that,
prescribed? I write something. Okay, supposing I give a generic and there are 10 brands available.
Although the pharmacist is violating the law, if you've written a prescription of A plus B and he gives you A plus B plus C, or A plus C instead of A plus B, he is violating the law. But the law is not implemented. You should demand as a doctor, because believe me, if doctors as a group, it's a big fight. If you gather together, like as well IABDN, and initially there will be resistance, but what answer they'll give? If I am the specialist, now I am telling you that these are bad, they'll have to listen.
I mean, only that is the major.
I know you can't get it, you can't get in the market, so you have to, that many things you can do. It's not easy answer, because if you are a dermatologist, for example, and you have to find sources of these, maybe you should keep all of them, sources of rational topical drugs, and keep it in your clinic, or encourage the pharmacist fellows, because his sale also improve. You tell him, I'm not going to prescribe these FDCs, but keep those ones which I am suggesting. They normally would listen to doctors, especially if you are a famous busy doctor for business. Yeah, she has asked me the thing. I said, how do I know a drug is good as a doctor? I said, I know it only after I practice, give it to patients. I said, that is one way, but a priori, that is before you start using the drug on a patient, you can check quality, because how we check quality, because how the quality is checked, there are about 23 parameters. In fact, there is another big topic. we just discussed. The 23 is goes for the Indian pharmacopoeia. If you go look up a book called Indian Pharmacopoeia, there is a monograph on each drug, and it contains 23 various type of tests, and the limits for passing on those tests. And it includes disintegration, dissolution. Dissolution is how much time the drug goes inside the body, enters the bloodstream, and a lot of things. So all the data you have to pass, all those criteria. If that is passed, at least you can say it is not a bad drug, it's a good drug.
No, I think the question is, as an individual practitioner, are there any sources that can tell me that this brand is better than that brand?
Normally what you can say is that if it is a so-called good famous company and it's a famous brand and they will not tinker with quality, they will maybe tinker with rationality. They won't tinker with quality, because if it comes out in the paper some famous brand is something is wrong, market will go overnight, believe me. So that is the thing. But otherwise you have to identify some good quality testing companies, and if you are a medical college, if there are quality testing facilities, you should advocate for it. But you should identify these quality testing companies, blacken out the name in an anonymous fashion and give it at your own expense.
Practically, it's not possible.
I know, but once in a while of a frequently used drug, you can do it. And also, okay, if you also after when you're using it, you find something wrong, adverse reaction, etc. Today there is a formal mechanism. There are 4 or 5 addresses available for pharmacovigilance that you can give. But these are, so long set wrong practices in this ecology. Unless you have to fight in multiple ways. Not one thing you do, it cannot solve any problem. You have to fight in multiple ways. Make noise in your own fraternity, in your community meetings, etc. That is probably to be the most effective thing. Initially, you will be a kind of black sheep. So why are you creating this trouble? But I think you have to be a black sheep, because then you will be a white sheep in front of the people of India. Yes, I know I am sounding dramatic and rhetoric and advisory, but that's only me.
These are not good, these are not.
See, I didn't go through that. There are a lot of principles of good FDCs, rational FDCs, and principles of irrational FDCs. So, this category of drug, you cannot command with this category. That is one, about 10-15 principles. You use that. And generally, for example, you should not combine antibiotics. Already there is a lot of antimicrobial resistance. You should not cut it. You should not combine 2 painkillers. Why should you combine 2 painkillers? Why should you combine, say, diclofenac and paracetamol? I mean, so these are some simple principles.
So if you actually look at your textbook of pharmacology, some textbooks have principles of rational therapeutics. Otherwise, you will find the principles based on it.
And one important thing is of this, in FDC, after all this thing, we should meet a real patient profile population with that particular condition. I mean, if nobody has that particular problem and you are saying this FDC is going to solve that problem, there is no use, because the problem doesn't exist. It's put in a different way in the WHO. But WHO TRS is but one, and the entire TRS is devoted to this.
TRS is Technical Report Series.
TRS 929 or something. I can send you the thing if you ask. Okay, thank you very much patiently for hearing me. I don't know how much I made sense, not sense.
Also, maybe if you have questions today, feel free to WhatsApp or SMS or email them to me, and so we can keep this dialogue going. Okay? Okay, thank you very much. And thanks again to CAG for partnering with us and for actually underwriting the costs of today.
I become a TV figure, thanks to you.